Welcome to Henry and Simon. This is our weekly digest of startup news across the Czech Republic and internationally. For more podcasts like these and deeper profiles of entrepreneurs and independents, come to henryandsimon.com. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Henry and Simon. This is our weekly digest where we go through five or six hot stories about the European startup scene, and my good friend Henry talks frequently about the Czech startup scene, and you're going to start today with some interesting tales from this week.
That's right, Simon. Thank you. So, Czech startup Vocals, not sure about the pronunciation, raised investment of over 371,000 euro, which equals around 10 million Czech crowns. How do they work? It's pretty obvious. Imagine that you are calling a call center, and instead of a person taking the call, there will be a voice bot on the other side. It's going to be an assistant with artificial intelligence who would deal with everything you need. Vocals. I'm still not sure.
Let's go with vocals.
Vocals. That's pretty, I would say so. Vocals claims that thanks to the tuned conversational design, it would communicate and react like a human. Companies such as CSOB and Europe Assistant have already tried out a robotic operator that can store all recordings and even transcript all the calls, which is pretty neat. Vocals, all right?
I would go with vocals, honestly, personally, but because it's a bit like, the vocal, as in someone was very vocal.
Right.
I'm very vocal on this topic right now.
Maybe guys from Vocals will make it straight in the comment section. So Vocals confirmed their solution probably makes sense, which I translate to, hey, we found a product market fit, right?
Indeed,
Thus they need to put more efforts into further development. Europe Assistant uses Vocals for vehicle assistance with a goal to focus on more important, not so repetitive and stressful work. So imagine you are in a car accident and the robot will be helping you out, not a human, because it's stressful, right? Which is makes sense.
Pretty cool.
It does probably. So Vocal's ambitions goes beyond the Czech Republic. They want to offer process automation to the European enterprise market, which they consider to be their priority. Last but not least, they are also preparing new functions and other improvements which they have not revealed just yet. Looking forward to hear more. A big fan. My second news, I'm running out of time. Czech startup Lafluence.
Lafluence. It sounds almost French.
It sounds French, Lafluence. How did you do Lafluence?
I would say Lafluence with my little affected French accent. I'm half Belgian. You should know that it is true. A little known fact. Yeah.
So they are receiving 743,000 euro, which translates to 20 million Czech crowns, and they aim to be a big European player in the influencer marketing agency, let's say. So they get funds from the Venture Club. In May, the company received the first tranche of 8 million and believes that thanks to the external capital, they will strengthen its position as a leader in Czech and Slovak markets. Lafluence focuses on connecting brands with influencers, Instagrammers, bloggers, YouTubers, podcasters, maybe? We don't know. So they basically mediate their cooperation and help to set up the processes, to make some creative campaigns, do the legal side payments and the whole cycle basically. So yeah, that's...
It talks to the serious growth in this space now. There's still players emerging as this influencer marketing thing, which I remember 15 years ago was a tiny little niche, has now become a real mover and shaker in the marketing space, because if you find the right voice, you get this amazing impact for your product. And we obviously have friends of the show like Elzbieta who are benefiting from that, of course. I've got a couple of stories. Of course, it would be foolish of us not to mention what's going on in America. Sometimes the stories we're talking about seem a little bit trivial, but Black lives do matter, of course, and we're aware of that. And still, I will talk to a couple of little pieces that are in just the pure startup world, and then do my love to hate section on one of the alumni of my alumni. So a guy who went to Trinity College Dublin and has done very well for himself. So first things first, Zynga have actually made a Turkish company a unicorn. What that means is they bought Peak, a gaming company, for $1.8 billion, half of which, by the way, Henry, was in cash and half was in stock. Early Bird, one of the investors, are delighted because the returns they have had have been absolutely astonishing based on that acquisition. They've been around now around a decade, and this is one of their, in fact, if not their best exit to date. Peak made games such as Toy Blast and Toon Blast. This is more like puzzle games that will actually increase the user base for Zynga by up to 60%. And Zynga's shares have gone up on the news. So this is a space where it looks like, because of COVID, etc., people are not necessarily doing less of this business. And that's a very substantial exit and great news for them. Another bit of news connected yet again to COVID-19 is Our Crowd. This is a Jerusalem-based investment platform, have launched a pandemic innovation fund with the plan to raise $100 million for investment in urgent technological solutions for the medical, business, and social needs resulting from global pandemics. The rapid spread of the coronavirus, this is their CEO, John Medved, says, has validated our vision of a commercial, connected digital world poised to solve any crisis through global communication and rapid response. So it's a little bit of a CEO statement, like a bit light, but it's time for technology to move fast and to fix things. And I do have a strong belief that we can actually make this kind of impact. They're going to focus on 3 categories: prevention, containment, and disruption mitigation. So basically trying to reduce the serious impact, like what you could do with remote working, distance learning, and robotic process automation. Investments will go to startups and to select follow-on rounds of Our Crowd's existing portfolio companies that are already working to mitigate the effects of the coronavirus crisis, such as Tito Care, which recently raised $50 million from traditional venture capitalists. So plenty of money still going into this fund as in this area, which will be happening now for a long time. Just as an aside, Our Crowd portfolio have actually reached 35 exits since its launch in 2013. So that's quite an excellent return. That was actually in July 2019, that piece of news. So if you're getting that kind of level of exits, that's showing you're doing something pretty spot on. Now, my love to hate piece is, I think nearly when I'm doing these, I'm always kind of love the guys more than I hate them, if the truth be told. And I think I also need to do a woman next because I've been too male-centered, But Paddy Cosgrave is an exceptional individual. So he's 37. As I said at the beginning, we did the same degree in Trinity College Dublin. It's a university in Ireland, actually, university, it's not necessarily for the privileged, but it helps if your parents have some money.
Is it not?
Well, it's interesting because we have a point system. So if you get the grades, you can indeed go to any university. So you apply for the university you want to go to. It's not based on interviews normally, it's based on the grades you get. And if you put in your list of choices a university and you get the points, you get in. Now, with all aspects of university, there is there's a benefit if you're from a wealthy family, because obviously they can put you through university. So Ireland has tried to some degree to kind of equalise that out with grants, etc. But anyway, Paddy and I went to this bastion of Irish learning, Trinity College. It's been around 400 years. He slightly longer than me, by the way. It's not slightly longer. He co-founded the Web Summit, and that's just a huge success. And there's no number of summits across the world. In his own Twitter account, it says, Financial Times calls it the world's largest tech conference. Forbes describe it as the best tech conferences on earth. And Politico said it's the Olympics of tech. So everything's done very well there. Now, what I don't want to attack Paddy on his excellent work on building a global event. More it's to do with how he's using his platform presently to kind of put across his views around such issues as COVID-19. He writes himself, demanding Ireland does better is the most patriotic response to the pandemic, much better than suggesting everything's fine. And the Irish, we can apparently be a little bit, backslapping with our reactions to things. So he's challenging that. But there's a lot of holes in how he approaches it. For example, he's very pro-China stance, and he wrote in CGTN, Ireland, where I'm from, is beginning to recognise this. This is i.e. that China should be actually supported and seen as an ally in the fight against COVID-19. I personally have been inspired by both China's response to COVID-19 and its solidarity with my home country. China locked down Wuhan where the virus originated on January 23rd, and the country thereafter showed clear success in containing the outbreak. This early lockdown set an example for the world, and the World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus praised China's response, saying that China's speed, scale and efficiency is the advantage of China's system. And he also said that one British WHO board member described China's lockdown of Wuhan as heroic. Unfortunately, months later, this is being totally debunked. Despite the plaudits, and this piece is from Associated Press, China is in fact seen to have sat on releasing the genetic map or genome of the virus for more than a week after 3 different government labs had fully decoded the information. Tight controls in information and competition within the Chinese public health system were to blame, according to dozens of interviews and internal documents. So I'd strongly recommend that you read this piece by Associated Press, which talks to how WHO, the World Health Organization, were actually trying to incentivize China to be more open and saying these nice things simply as diplomacy, not reality. Also, Paddy is writing that health officials in Ireland, he'd been basically criticising the Irish government about the response, including a fact had said that a number of nurses had died. The health officials had said that they were stressing that people should avoid amplifying unverified stories as much as possible, particularly in the snowballing behemoth of social media. The Irish Nurses and Midwives Association had asked Paddy Cosgrove, founder of Web Summit, to apologise after he had tweeted that 4 nurses had died due to COVID-19. And that was a tweet he had written. It basically needlessly was scaremongering people, and in actual fact, the nurses had not died. And he, for a long time, had kept that tweet there. Now, that's his kind of COVID-19 reputation, but also he's often criticising Ireland's tax system, which favours large corporations. The big joke is that Amaranthine, an investment fund set up by him and the Web Summit founders, is based in California, but registered for tax purposes in Delaware, an effective tax shelter. He wants us, in my view, to feel a certain sense that as he's privileged, he knows more about the world than we do in terms of like its international exposure. So don't do as I say, or don't do as I do, just do as I say, or don't do as I say, do as I do. But basically, he's trying to make us believe that he has some kind of moral credibility because of his position. What I would say is he's someone who should probably focus more on the development of his technology summits and be more open and honest about how he might benefit from our relationship with China. You know, because my view is if you dig a little bit deeper, that's where you'll find the real truth about Paddy's motivations. So anyway, congratulations on building a super summit, global events across the world, etc. But maybe take your time before you tear people's reputations apart.
When was the last time you met the guy?
I met him now 5 or 6 years ago at one of the summits, but we're not friends. I mean, like he's you know, obviously someone who's built this great business and who's now using that platform in order to put out what looks to me to be some kind of beginning of a political career. And he's using, frankly, Trump-style techniques in social media in order to get his message across. You know, in the end, you know, time tells on this, and I don't think this will have any impact on his Web Summit business, which, you know, is already obviously hurting because of COVID-19, and he's doing a lot more in the online space, which I think is really, really interesting, as, you know, he's made some investments in the digital world. But this is a guy who's really got the pulse of summits and puts together fantastic events, and has been really awesome at getting, right from the beginning, saying to people, you know, the founder of one company, hey, the founder of this company's coming, you should come too. And of course, neither have actually said they're coming, but he does that in a great way. And it's that kind of like hacking that he did that's so fascinating. So he's a businessman, really interesting guy. But as a political spokesman, I think he's just using this platform without really contemplating the impact it has, with a view to basically saying, okay, I want to change the status quo. But actually what he's doing is just pushing, in some cases, just unsubstantiated information out into social media. Okay, that's all I have. Obviously Paddy can comment on henryandsimon.com and give us his views. We'll be back next week with our digest, and we have a couple of new podcasts to come out, which we look forward to pushing soon. So that's a goodbye from me.
Yep, stay safe.
Okay.
See you next time.
Stay cool.